You have everything you need: the food, safety, comfort, more than any generation before you. And yet, birth rates are collapsing. Loneliness is a public health epidemic. Young people are checking out of ambition, relationships, and nobody seems to know why. Here is the uncomfortable possibility. It already happened. Not to us, but to 8 mice, in a world that gave them everything. This is Universe 25, in 1968, is one of the most disturbing things ever documented in science. In 1968, an American scientist named John Calhoun built something that had never existed before. A perfect world for mice, apartments stacked along every wall, tunnels connecting everything. He'd run versions of this experiment 24 times already. In forests, every single one ended the same way. The 25th was meant to be the clean, final answer. He placed 8 mice inside, 4 males, 4 females, and closed the lid. Unofficially, he called it Mouse Heaven. For the first 100 days, almost nothing happened. Then the first litters were born, and the population exploded, doubling every 55 days. By day 315, there were over 600 mice inside. But Calhoun noticed something strange. Even though food was available everywhere, mice started crowding obsessively around the same few feeders. They would not eat alone. An empty feeder, no matter how full, felt wrong to them. He called it the behavioral sink. The golden age was real. But inside it, something was already breaking. In the wild, when a colony outgrows its territory, the young leave. They find new ground. They start over. In Universe 25, there was no new ground. The young males drifted toward the center of the enclosure. They had food. They had water. They had safety. They had no idea what to do with themselves. Calhoun watched them for hours, doing nothing. The colony split into types he gave names to. The somnambulists, withdrawn males who absorbed attacks without fighting back, then wandered off. The probers, frantic, indiscriminate males who forced their way into other nests and ignored every social rule. And then the females began to fail. The mothers were defending nests alone. They broke under the pressure. They abandoned their pups. Some stopped recognizing which pups were theirs at all. In the worst sections of the colony, fewer than 1 in 20 newborns survived. Calhoun wrote later that the social fabric was effectively dead. The bodies were still moving. The colony was not. The pups that survived grew up with no model of normal life. They inherited a broken template. And when they matured, they became something Calhoun had never seen before. They never fought. They never courted a mate. They never engaged with other mice at all. They ate. They slept. They groomed themselves, obsessively, until their coats were immaculate. Calhoun named them the beautiful ones. They looked like the healthiest mice in the enclosure. They were also the last generation. When researchers moved some of the beautiful ones into healthy colonies, they remained withdrawn, never mated, never engaged. The damage wasn't situational. It was permanent. On day 560, population growth stopped. The colony peaked at 2,200 mice. Remember that number. Now, remember this one. The enclosure was built to hold 3,840 mice. Universe 25 collapsed with over 1,600 empty spaces still available. They didn't run out of food. They didn't run out of water. They didn't run out of space. They ran out of meaningful things to do. Every role, defender, nurturer, mate, was already taken. The mice born later arrived into a world with no place for them. Not hostile, not cruel, just complete. On day 920, the last conception was recorded. After that, nothing. The beautiful ones groomed themselves. The colony aged. On May 23, 1973, the last mouse died. Calhoun titled his paper Death Squared. The title was not an accident. When the paper came out, the world ran with the obvious reading: comfort kills. Abundance destroys. Struggle is what keeps us alive. But that was not Calhoun's conclusion. His real finding was one sentence: if the number of roles available falls short of those capable of filling them, only violence and disruption can follow. The killer wasn't comfort. It was the disappearance of meaningful roles. The food never ran out. What ran out was purpose. They didn't die because the world was cruel. They died because the world had no room for them to mean anything. Calhoun called it 2 deaths. The death of the spirit came first. The death of the body followed, years later. That's the part that should sit with you, because Calhoun wasn't writing about mice. He spent the rest of his life looking for the exit, and he believed he found one. When physical space runs out, he said, you create new space, new ideas, new roles, new reasons to exist, things that weren't there before that you build yourself. The mice couldn't do that. We still can. He wrote, I shall largely speak of mice, but my thoughts are on man.